poker has always been a game of deception, but there's a fine line between strategy and outright cheating. Over the years, some players and even entire organizations have crossed that line in pursuit of millions in stolen winnings, only to be exposed in the most dramatic ways. From high-tech online scams to brazen live poker heists, these are the 5 biggest cheating scandals the game has ever seen. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where we dive into the biggest scandal in poker history. The ultimate betrayal. Online poker's biggest scandal. For years, online poker was considered the great equalizer, a place where anyone with skill and determination could compete on a level playing field free from the tells and tricks of live poker. But in the late 2000s, that illusion was shattered by one of the most brazen and costly cheating scandals the game had ever seen. The ultimate bet in absolute poker superuser scandal wasn't just a case of a few bad actors exploiting a loophole, it was a full-scale heist. With millions of dollars stolen, trust in online poker obliterated, and a world champion at the center of it all. A scheme too good to be true. Online poker players live and die by their ability to read situations, spot patterns, and make the best decision with incomplete information. But what happens when one side knows every move before it happens? That's exactly what unfolded on Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker, where select insiders had access to superuser accounts, special privileges that allowed them to see every player's hand in real time. It was like being dealt a royal flush in every crucial hand, except no one else at the table knew the deck was stacked against them. The man behind the curtain. At the heart of the scandal was none other than Russ Hamilton, a former World Series of Poker main event champion and respected poker pro. Instead of using his poker skills to win the right way, Hamilton orchestrated a scheme that funneled over $22 million from unsuspecting players into his own pockets. And he wasn't alone. Absolute Poker had its own version of the scam, and with an unidentified employee exploiting internal software to gain an unbeatable edge. For months, these super users crushed high-stakes games, making inexplicable calls, impossible bluffs, and flawless folds as if they had a sixth sense for the cards. They never lost a big pot unless they absolutely had to, and they always seemed to avoid disaster. A slip-up that exposed everything. But like most poker cheaters, they got greedy, and when players began analyzing hand histories, the cracks started to show. Suspiciously perfect play, hands that no sane person would call, and a win rate so outrageous it defied statistic probability, all pointed to something being very, very wrong. The real smoking gun, however, came from a mistake by Absolute Poker itself. In response to a player complaint, the site accidentally leaked internal game data, revealing whole cards that should never have been visible. The truth was undeniable. Certain accounts had access to every player's cards. The fallout. The poker world exploded. Investigations launched. Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker were forced to pay back millions in stolen funds. And Russ Hamilton became one of the most disgraced figures in poker history. In a secretly recorded conversation, Hamilton was even caught admitting to the scam, stating, "I didn't take this money, and I'm not trying to make it right. So let's get that out of the way." It was a moment of brutal honesty from a man who had stolen millions and destroyed trust in the game. The scandal led to a massive loss of confidence in online poker, with regulators cracking down, sites scrambling to improve security, and thousands of players swearing off online poker forever. Lessons learned? The Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker scandals proved one thing. Even in a digital world, poker's biggest enemy is cheating. The poker community has since fought hard for transparency, accountability, and security, but this moment remains a dark stain on the game's history. For those who lost their bankrolls to super users, it wasn't just about money, it was about the betrayal of the fundamental fairness that poker is built on. And for Russ Hamilton, he may have once been a champion, but after this scandal, his name became synonymous with disgrace. Would you ever trust online poker again after a scandal like this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The World Series of Poker chip dumping and fake chips scandal. The World Series of Poker circuit events attract players from all walks of life, aspiring pros, seasoned grinders, and occasionally, outright cheaters. But few scandals in poker history are as bizarre as what happened at the Borgata in 2014, when a player tried to cheat his way to victory by sneaking in fake tournament chips. What started as an audacious attempt to gain an unfair advantage ended in disaster, not just for the tournament, but for the plumbing of an entire hotel. The plan that went down the drain. Christian Luzardi, a low-stakes poker player with a history of shady gambling activities, hatched a plan that was as reckless as it was foolish. He printed counterfeit poker chips, over $800,000 worth, and smuggled them into play at a World Series of Poker circuit event at the Borgata in Atlantic City. The idea was simple. By introducing extra chips into the tournament, he can build an unbeatable stack and then cruise to victory. At first, it seemed to work. Luzardi won a significant number of chips and positioned himself deep in the tournament. But what he didn't anticipate was how carefully casinos track their chip counts. Players and tournament staff quickly noticed that the number of chips in play wasn't adding up, raising immediate suspicion. Enjoying the video so far? To make sure you never miss an epic poker scandal, obscene meltdown, or sick suckout, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Flushing away the evidence. Realizing that an investigation was underway, Luzardi panicked. Instead of quietly walking away, he made one of the dumbest decisions in poker cheating history. He tried to dispose of the remaining fake chips by flushing them down the toilet in his hotel room. Unfortunately for him, plumbing isn't designed to handle thousands of dollars in plastic poker chips. The pipes in the hotel became clogged, leading maintenance workers straight to the evidence. When they found the fake chips in the plumbing system, it didn't take long for casino security to connect all the dots. Caught, convicted, and bankrupt. With the fake chips recovered and the tournament compromised, Luzardi was arrested. He was later sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay $463,540 in restitution. A heavy price for a scheme that was doomed, honestly, from the start. The Borgata had to cancel the event, and legitimate players were left frustrated and cheated out of a fair tournament. The Luzardi scandal remains one of the most infamous examples of tournament cheating in poker history, proving once again that trying to game the system never ends well. Whether it's the eye of casino security or, in this case, a clogged toilet, cheaters always get caught. Justin Bonomo's multi-accounting scandal. Justin Bonomo is one of the most successful poker players of all time, with over $60 million in live tournament earnings and multiple high roller titles. But before he became a poker legend, his name was associated with one of the earliest major online poker cheating scandals in history. In 2006, at just 20 years old, Bonomo was caught multi-accounting on Party Poker, one of the biggest poker sites at the time, gaining an unfair advantage in online tournaments. The scam: one player, multiple identities. Online poker is designed to be a level playing field, where each player has just one seat and one opportunity to win. However, Bonomo found a way to manipulate the system by creating and using multiple accounts to enter the same tournaments. This gave him a significant advantage over his opponents. By controlling several seats in a single event, he increased his chances of making deep runs and cashing out big. If one of his accounts was eliminated early, he still had others in play, keeping his chances alive. Even more concerning was his ability to soft play and chip dump, strategically moving chips between his own accounts to boost his position at the table. This kind of maneuvering made it easier for him to reach final tables and maximize his winnings. While suspicions of multi-accounting had been circulating in the online poker community, proving it was another matter entirely. That changed when Party Poker launched a thorough investigation, ultimately uncovering irrefutable evidence that Bonomo had been entering tournaments under multiple identities. Caught and banned. Once Party Poker had gathered enough evidence, Bonomo was banned from the site, and his accounts were permanently shut down. He later admitted to multi-accounting, calling it a mistake and a young and dumb decision. But at the time, the damage was done. The scandal tarnished his reputation, and many in the poker community were furious that he had been gaming the system. The incident also led to increased security measures across online poker platforms, with sites investing in better tracking software to detect multi-accounting and collusion. From scandal to redemption. Despite the controversy, Bonomo didn't disappear from poker. He worked to rebuild his reputation over the years, transitioning to live poker and proving himself as one of the best players in the world. He dominated the high roller scene, winning events like the Super High Roller Bowl, multiple World Series of Poker bracelets, and surpassing $60 million in career earnings. Though his early career will always be linked to the multiple accounting scandal, Bonomo's comeback stands as one of the most dramatic redemption arcs in poker history. However, his past serves as a reminder that online poker security is always evolving, and cheating, no matter how small, can come back to haunt you. Men the Master Nguyen, collusion allegations. Men the Master Nguyen built a reputation as a dominant force in tournament poker, amassing an impressive collection of World Series of Poker bracelets and major cashes throughout his career. However, behind the scenes, allegations of unethical play have followed him for years. Many in the poker community have accused Nguyen of orchestrating a sophisticated collusion scheme, running a team of players who would soft play each other in tournaments, giving him an unfair edge over the competition. From famous to infamous. The allegation suggests that Nguyen would enter tournaments alongside a group of players under his influence. These players, often students or associates of his, were accused of working together rather than competing fairly. They would allegedly avoid betting aggressively against Nguyen, folding in key spots, or even intentionally losing chips to him to ensure he remained deep in the tournament. This kind of strategy, known as soft playing, is a serious violation of poker ethics and tournament rules, as it compromises the whole integrity of the game. While collusion is notoriously difficult to prove, numerous poker professionals have spoken out against Nguyen's tactics. Some have claimed to have witnessed suspicious play patterns, while others have raised concerns about how frequently Nguyen's team seem to find themselves at final tables with him. Despite the accusations, Nguyen has never faced formal penalties or bans from major tournaments, but the cloud of controversy has followed him for years. The aftermath. Whether or not Nguyen was truly guilty of collusion, his legacy remains a divisive topic in poker circles. Some view him as a brilliant tournament grinder who used every possible edge to his advantage, while others see his success as tainted by the accusations that have never fully gone away. In poker, perception could be just as powerful as reality, and for Men the Master Nguyen, that perception has remained under scrutiny for decades. The Full Tilt Poker Ponzi Scheme. Full Tilt Poker was once the pinnacle of online poker, home to some of the biggest names in the game, hosting massive tournaments and running high-stakes cash games that drew players from around the world. But beneath the surface, the site was a house of cards, propped up by greed and financial mismanagement. What looked like a thriving poker empire was actually a massive Ponzi scheme, and in 2011, it all came crashing down. The rise and fall of Full Tilt Poker. During the poker boom of the early 2000s, Full Tilt Poker was one of the biggest names in the industry, with pros like Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, and Gus Hansen representing the brand. The site was co-founded by some of poker's most well-known players, including Howard Lederer and Chris Ferguson, who not only ran the company but also personally profited from its success. For years, players flocked to the site trusting that their money was safe. But behind the scenes, the executives were dipping into player deposits to fund their own extravagant lifestyles, treating the company's bankroll like their personal piggy bank. By the time the US government stepped in, the company was efficiently insolvent, missing hundreds of millions of dollars in player funds. Black Friday, the day everything collapsed. On April 15th, 2011, known in the poker world as Black Friday, the US Department of Justice shut down Full Tilt Poker, along with PokerStars and Absolute Poker. The shocking revelation? Full Tilt Poker didn't actually have the money to cover player balances. It was exposed that letterer, Ferguson, and CEO Ray Bitar had been paying themselves and other executives massive sums of money while telling players that their deposits were secure. Over $300 million in player funds had been mismanaged, spent, or simply vanished. The fallout and the PokerStars bailout. With the site shut down and accounts frozen, thousands of players were left stranded, unable to access their bankrolls. The outrage was immediate, and the poker community turned on the executives responsible. Lederer and Ferguson, once respected figures, became pariahs in the poker world. The situation seemed homeless until PokerStars stepped in. As part of a government-forced settlement, PokerStars agreed to buy Full Tilt Poker and reimburse affected players. Over time, most of the stolen money was repaid, but the damage to Full Tilt's reputation was far beyond repair. As for the culprits, Ray Bitar managed to avoid serious prison time due to health issues, while Lederer and Ferguson disappeared from the game for years before attempting controversial comebacks. To this day, many players haven't forgiven them, and the Full Tilt Poker scandal remains one of the darkest moments in poker history. Make sure to like and subscribe to never miss an epic poker scandal, obscene meltdown, or sick suck out. Thanks for watching.